Otto Frank was born on May 12, 1889, in Frankfurt am Main, Germany. He was born into a Jewish family. He was the second son of Alice Betty and Michael Frank. He studied economics for 1 year in the University of Heidelberg. Frank served in the Imperial German Army during the First World War. He was called up for military service, and he served in the artillery unit on the Western Front. He worked in the bank his family ran until it collapsed in the early 1930s. Frank married Edith Hollander on May 12, 1925. Edith gave birth to their first child, a daughter named Margaret, on February 16, 1926. 3 years later, on June 12, Edith and Otto Frank rejoiced in the birth of their youngest daughter, Annalise Mary Frank. The Franks were such a beautiful and happy family, but 4 years later, they had to relocate to Holland to avoid the dangers of Germany since Hitler had risen to power. In 1940, 7 years later, Holland was invaded by Germany, and Jews were no longer allowed to run their own businesses. In 1942, Margaret received a letter demanding that she needs to report to a work camp. As a result, Otto and his family went into hiding in a secret annex just above his office. The Franks, along with 4 other Jews, spent 2 years in hiding. During that time, that's where Anne wrote her diary. In 1944, Frank, his family, and the 4 people he hid with were arrested by SS officer Karl, since they were betrayed by an anonymous informant. After they were captured, they were sent to Westerbork Transit concentration camp, but then they were moved to Auschwitz. Frank was sent to the men's barracks. His wife and daughters were taken in a different direction. Therefore, it was at Auschwitz in September that Frank was separated forever from his family. As we know, the Holocaust was such a tragic event. Many Jews, many other ethnic groups were tortured, killed, were treated like if they were animals in these concentration camps. Soon, in January 27, 1945, Otto Frank was liberated by the Soviet troops. He then traveled to the Netherlands in search for his family. Unfortunately, by the end of 1945, he knew he was the only survivor of his family. Frank remarried to a Jewish survivor named Fritzi Markowitz in 1953. They moved to Switzerland and they lived out the remainder of their years together. But Frank soon died in Switzerland on August 19 of 1980. Before his death of lung cancer, he has impacted today's lives by first sharing his own experiences during the Holocaust. Secondly, he also helped publish his own daughter's diary. We got to know her own feelings, how her experience was as well. Lastly, he also helped establish the Anne Frank Foundation on 3rd of May in 1957. This was the aim to saving the building where they hid and allowing it to be public for all the people around the world to visit.